Hi everyone, this is Noah Sandler from MTGOcademy.com, and today we're going to be doing a Modern Masters 215 draft. So let's jump into queue. Okay, wow, pretty powerful pack. There's Bestial Menace, Polacorn, that are both very strong. There's also Artisan Kozilek and Everflowing Chalice, which both kind of similar, fit in kind of similar decks to Polacorn. So this is pretty interesting. I'm a pretty huge fan of Polacorn. I feel it's kind of close to Menace. Because Menace is going to be, I think both of them are good in any green deck. But Menace, just being a little cheaper, if you're like green-white tokens, is probably going to be a better card. So yeah, really close pick. I don't actually know which one's better. I like them both a lot, but I've had really good experiences so far with Blockworm. So I'm gonna take Blockworm, but I think Menace is actually really close. And we've got Scion of the Wild, Golgari Rot Farm. Rot Farm could work well with Blockworm. Just give you the extra mana to use for it, and it tends to go better in like 5-color control decks rather than tokens deck. So I think it's close between Scion and Rot Farm. I am going to take the Scion though. I think if green-white tokens is open or green-black tokens, I'd much rather have a Scion than a bounce land. I think is a little more replaceable. So Settleplast, Rootkin, Agni Warps, Fear the Suns, Evolving Wilds. We'll take the Rootkin. So we just have 3 like pretty strong green cards. Not sure where we're going with them yet, but it's a pretty good start. Green seems relatively open. So Arrest versus Scatter the Seeds. That's actually a pretty close pick. I think in this spot it's actually just Scatter. In green-white tokens, I think it's actually kind of close. Whether Scatter, because you need Scatter to make the deck work, and then Arrest is obviously quite strong. But considering we could still just be green-black or green-blue, I think we got to take the Scatter here. But seeing the Arrest is a good sign, and I mean, might as well move into green-white tokens if that's what's open. I think it's probably maybe the second best archetype, if not the first, in Modern Masters 2. So pretty happy to move into that if it's open. Okay, got Thief of Hope, Sigil Blessing, Vines, Minotaurs, Fiery Fall, Grim Affliction, Repeal, Squirter. Some kind of green-blue graph deck would also be a possibility. I think we just take Sigil Blessing. If we are green-white tokens, it's going to be a really strong card. And I think green-white tokens is pretty open right now. So I think that's the pick. We got Reassembling Skeleton, Combust, Fortify, Plummet, Flare Husk. So Fortify can be pretty good in the green-white tokens deck. And sometimes it can be strong, but I think it's a little more of a replaceable effect. I think we need to take the Reassembling Skeleton in case if we go green-black like Token Sack, because that's just a really strong card in that archetype. So it's got a much higher upside, and we're still early enough that we could be either green-white or green-black Sack. So we'll just take the Skeleton. I guess I'll leave the Blessing in still. Maybe 50-50 we go into either archetype at this point. Okay, super late Stormblood Berserker. And there's also a Plague Rusalka. So Rusalka can be nice in the green-black tokens archetype. There is a possibility we can move into something just green-red. I've seen the Berserker, the Fire Slinger this late. I think green-red Beats is also a pretty strong archetype. So I think I'm just going to take the Berserker. Just so much more powerful than Rusalka. I mean, the deck is set up to be more of like a token sack type deck right now, but this is just such a strong red signal. We've seen a couple Gorehorn Minotaurs getting passed, so maybe green-red's the way to build this. There's a Shriveled Dusk Hunter Bat. Yeah, I'll take the Bat. And Minotaurs came back, so we'll take that. So, I mean, red is so open. It can almost be red-black Bloodthirst as well. We'll take a Death Mark, I think. So Sigil Blessing's gone. We passed a decent amount of white that pack. Maybe the person behind us went into white, and also the Bestial Menace. So I mean, we might not see like green-white token type stuff for pack 2. And so yeah, maybe we could do red-black Bloodthirst. Even with such strong picks, I think it's not too late to move in. It just seems so underdrafted at the table. We could also be black-green or black-red. Yeah, Blood Ogre, super late over Sphere. So I just think we're definitely red at this point. It's just so open. I'll take a Flamekin. I think Grim Affliction could be really good. Unlikely to get much use out of Thief of Hope, but we've got, like, if we're black-red, we're going to have a lot of Bloodthirsters, so Affliction could end up being pretty strong. And I guess that's probably where we're going to end up. Because I mean, we did pass some strong green cards, and green really did not seem that open in that first pack after the first few picks. So let's move the green out. So here it's Darksteel Axe versus Gorehorn Minotaurs. There's also an Aquastrand Spider, but I think we're just moving away from green. So how good is Axe going to be? I haven't actually played it in one of the black-red Bloodthirst decks yet. It's probably pretty strong. Is it better than Minotaurs? The Minotaurs might actually table, considering we got these two really late. So I think I'll take the Axe. The red deck might take Electrolyze over it. So yeah, I'll take the Axe, but I think that's also a pretty close pick. We have Brute Force Cathodian, Necrogenesis, Rampant Growth, Sphere of the Suns. If we did move away from red, Necrogenesis would be pretty strong. But I just think red's so open that I just think we want to be red, so I might just take Cathodian here. I think Necrogenesis is an okay pick if, just in case if we see really good black-green this pack. I think there's a possibility of that. But the red just looks so good from pack 1 that I feel like that's where we're going to end up. We'll take a Dusk Hunter Bat here over Copper Carapace. I'd like to pick up some Goblin Fireslingers. There was one pretty late in the first pack, but that's definitely a key card to the deck. Vampire Lacerator also would be nice. It's the second best wind drop you can get. Other than like Spike Shadow, I guess. Second best common wind drop. Nice. Vampire Outcast. Really strong pack overall. Tezzer's Gambit can also be really strong in these decks. Firefall wouldn't be bad. Just super pack Hikari, Sunlance, Predator, Fiery Fall, Rest, Outcast, and Gambit. But yeah, Outcast really strong in this archetype. So we'll take that. We'll take Daggerclaw Imp over Bone Splinters. Splinters is nice with Resummoning Skeleton. But other than that, most of your creatures are relatively important to just keep pressure on. So we'll take the Imp. I mean, we're seeing some more good green this pack, but nothing that's making me really regret moving into red-black. And I would expect pack 3 to be pretty strong for us, and should definitely be better than green with how cut green was in the first pack. I think we will take a Splinters over Wrap and Flare Husk. Husk is okay, but I'd rather have the Splinters. At minimum, just for a sideboard card against like Eldrazi. Just to be able to have answers against some of the large threats opponents could have. But it's good with Skeleton too. Skeleton's not super exciting in black-red Bloodthirst because you just want to be dealing damage to your opponent's face. But if you have stuff like Bone Splinters, it can be pretty strong. This pack, I think we just have to take Vampire Lacerator over Blood Ogre. I think we need the 1-drops, even though Ogre is maybe a stronger card. And we did get a Goblin Fireslinger, take it over another Lacerator, so that helps out quite a bit. And the Minotaurs came back. So this deck is looking very good right now. I'd like to get a little bit more removal, stuff like Burst Lightning, But the creature base looks good. We've got 3 2-drops with Bloodthirst and 2 1-drops. It's a pretty decent start. Got 3 4-drops with Bloodthirst and 1 3. Just hate the Duelist here. And Brute Force number 2, I think, for Sign and Blood. Sign and Blood can be a little hard to cast, though I guess this pick is kind of close. But yeah, you want to be casting creatures on turn 2 usually. Okay, looking good. 19 playables. Like to cut the Flamekin, Sickle River, maybe Skeleton, if we end up with a good pack 3, which I would expect to see. Like, our pack 3 could actually be very strong. This pack is very weak, however. Pretty much a blank. Don't really want Bobble. Igniter's very unexciting. So, I mean, Sickle Ripper, Mutagenic Growth, Igniter, those are all cards I typically like to cut from these red-black Bloodthirst decks, but I think Igniter is probably the best. Yeah, I just don't think we're running Igniter, so I'm just going to hate Kozilek's Predator. Or actually, maybe Scoot Mob is better. I think against, like, against our deck, I think Predator's probably the better card. It just gives them multiple blockers against us. So I'll cut a Predator. Got Lightning Bolt. Very nice pickup. Another Fire Slinger. Might table this one as well. I would take quite a few of them before I'd be satisfied. Outcast. He's got 4 Bloodthirst for 4. So this pack's looking pretty good. I mean, we had that crap pack with the Igniter that we just hated the Predator, but other than that, red-black seems very open. I expect to still get a couple more strong cards. You can probably cut Sickle Ripper and Flamekin and Skeleton, maybe Bone Splinters. Okay, another Dusk Hunter Bat. We got 3 1-drops right now. Expecting to get at least 4, so these bats should be pretty strong. And another Lightning Bolt. Wow. That's pretty exciting. I mean, red was so open in the first pack. I didn't expect to get a Lightning Bolt this late, though. And another Lacerator. Getting Combust is really nice, but Lacerator is just too important. Get the strong 1-drops. And I guess a Flare Husk. Probably not running it at this point. Because if you're in the draw, like, the token's probably not getting through to Bloodthirst, just a 1/1. I mean, it's fine with Bone Splinters, but I don't think we're going to have room for either of those. It might make the cut, but I guess I expect to get a couple more strong cards out of this pack. We're going to run 16 lands. Yeah, so Igniter came back anyway. Don't think we want growth. I don't think we're going to run Igniters, so I'm just going to hate the Raise the Alarm. And Apostle's Blessing, I think just Instill Infection. Just siding against decks with a lot of 1-toughness creatures, I guess. I don't think Apostle's Blessing is what we want. Okay, another Fire Slinger. And Ghostly Changeling, I think Slaughtermaster. We've got 2 Brute Force and Axe, so that might make the cut. Smash, nice pickup. I mean, I guess we could run trainee. It's good with axe, and it's okay with brute forces, but I'll just play some more early drops, like the flare husk. This is 24. So that might be good. Yeah, this looks right. Good creature count. I think we can really take advantage of the equipment with the flyers, the Slaughtermaster, and you know, like basically 6 1-drops potentially to Bloodthirst on turn 2. And you know, for sideboard we can put in Bone Splinters, Deathmark, Smash Smithereens, and maybe Reassembling Skeleton against a deck with a lot of big creatures. So I think we just do even split of lands because we've got double costs for both, and we also have 1-drops for both. Wouldn't want to drop down to just 7 swamps, even though we do have a few more red cards. Red's a little bit more important. So we'll submit this, and I'll see you for round 1. Okay, ready for round 1, and this hand is definitely capable. We've got a lot of 2-drops we could draw to make it a really good start, and just a couple of Fire Slingers in play for a bunch of turns can definitely get you on your way. But we will have to draw some gas at some point. Luckily we're only running 16 lands, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, got Sunlanced, play the other Fire Slinger. Probably Cathodian turn 3. Waxbane Baku, that's interesting. Don't see green-white spirits that much. And getting a bit flooded. I mean, our Cathodian does more sitting back on defense currently than just trading off right now, so we'll just leave it back. That could maybe prevent 5 damage instead of just dealing 3. Or just trading. Opponent can attack back with Baku. So they might have Hikari, Mirror Entity. They could run Moonlit Strider. Still is a bit strange to run Baku. And maybe they're splashing Nameless Inversion as well. Okay, just Cathodian in. I think we're best off just blocking. So we prevented just an extra 2 damage by waiting till our turn. If we take it and just keep taking 3 a turn, it's worse than just taking 2 a turn that we're currently going to face. If opponent plays a bunch more 2/2s, then we'd prefer to have the 3 left over. Okay, Wolfbriar Elemental kicked once? Yeah. Okay, another Fire Slinger. Not too helpful. So I think we're just going to get run over pretty quickly here, and I think we have to just leave the bat back to trade with Baku. So, I mean, there's just no way we're finishing our opponent off the top of our deck, so I think we have to go into a bit of defensive mode. Our chances of winning are pretty low at this point. We need to get something like a Gorehorn Minotaur, Vampire Outcast. So, opponent has Moonlit Strider. Wow, it's just attack for 4. That seems incorrect. I guess maybe, oh, they have Scatter the Seeds, potentially? That could explain it. Okay, got Minotaur. Opponent doesn't tap. The opponent's going to tap the Minotaur. So the question is, do we want to have the Bat Black to block? We can block Baku. Opponent eventually gets it back with Strider, maybe. Or there's a chance we're just missing out on 2 damage. But I think I'm just going to leave it back. I mean, the opponent does seem to be misplaying a little bit, or maybe not. If they have Scatter here, then I think their plays are fine. They just tap down. I mean, yeah, I just don't see any reason for them to not attack with their Wolf last turn. I guess if they have Mirror Entity in hand, the whole running Strider and Baku makes that a little more likely. Alright, let's block Baku. Kind of seems like opponent has Fortify here. They're thinking if they want to do Power or Toughness. Nope. Just pass. Well, Flare Husk is alright. Gives us a chump for a turn. So do we want to attack with Minotaurs or just leave back? I mean, sitting back is pretty reasonable because we've got the Fire Slingers, so we're sort of advantaged. And, I mean, the Husk isn't just like a free chump. I think Husk could be pretty useful on future turns to chump when it's more relevant. Like, opponent can't just Strider, give their guy pro red, and attack for a bunch, because we've got the black creature back. And if opponent does have Scatter, which I think they shouldn't, but they did just leave a bunch of mana, it's possible. I think we'd want the Minotaurs back, so let's just sit back. Okay, raise the alarm. Yeah, it definitely makes me want to, like, glad that I sat back with Minotaur. So I don't want opponent to have a really good attack here. I mean, we're pretty stable currently, and we've got inevitability with the Fire Slingers, so we're looking pretty good. There are a lot of cards opponent could have that could hurt us, some kind of big pump spell or something, and either way they might make a big attack this turn. They can use this, like if we put the Minotaur in the Elemental, they can use Strider to protect it, get back Baku, so that doesn't lose them too much, and then we'll take like 3 damage here. If they have Fortify, probably dead. Yeah, we're dead to Fortify. We can throw a Fire Slinger in the front of a token to survive Fortify. But I'm not sure if we should be playing around it. It does look kind of Fortify-like right now. The whole opponent kind of tanking on their last turn. We pass a Fortify a bit late. So this does feel like Fortify. I mean, can we beat a Fortify? We probably can beat a Fortify if we play around it. So I think I am going to block with one Fire Slinger. So we don't die to Fortify. It's 3, 7, go 2. If opponent fortifies for toughness, it kind of sucks. We go to 6, but we're not quite dead still. I mean, it's kind of bad, but I think this is right. I still think we have a chance against Fortify, and this looks pretty Fortify-y. Like, I'm getting the Fortify sense from this attack. The opponent's made some strange plays so far, so they could just be making a mistake. But weaker players also, and again, I'm not saying I know my opponent's weak, but I'm just getting that feel. Weaker players also tend to be a bit more passive. Like if they make a couple suboptimal plays where they're not getting in max damage, and then they just make a big all-in attack, they tend to have something. Like, they don't like to just throw a bunch of creatures away and get punished. So I don't know. We'll see if they do. But with all this tanking, like, kind of feel like they do have one of the pump spells, and it's probably Fortify if they have one. Okay. Alright, so they're toughness pumping. And they've got Spider. So we're not in a good spot. Probably need to draw something to get out of this. That's not something. Let's move Husk over to Fire Slinger and pass. So we're actually dead if opponent sacks Strider, gives Elemental Pro Red, and swings with everything, but it's not an extremely likely play. Like, they could go for it, but I think they have other lines that leave us alive that might be a little safer. Not entirely sure. But that line seems pretty safe. I think they should probably go for it. Well, looks like that's what they're doing. So I think we're dead. Well, they moved to counter Rabaku, so we're still dead. That doesn't change anything. Alright. On to game 2. So, Deathmark definitely coming in. Maybe Husk out. Well, rest seems pretty good. I think we'll just run this. Alright, we'll play first. This hand's pretty strong. Might get Sunlanced, but if not, 1-drop, 2-drop, couple pump spells to back it up. Could definitely get there. Okay, Spider. Slaughtermaster, wow. That's a really good draw. Well, I think we attack with both, and let's see if opponent takes it or not. I think we go Slaughtermaster, so they block. I think that's fine, actually. So what I like to do here is play Slaughtermaster and Axe. As long as opponent doesn't go plain Sunlance, next turn we can equip the Axe even if we don't draw land. We can protect with Brute Force. So it should be close to game. You could also hold on to the Axe in case the opponent does go like plain the Sunlance, kill the Slaughtermaster. But yeah, this is actually just game right now. Yeah. So it's a lot of damage. Normally Slaughtermaster isn't super exciting in the black-red Bloodthirst decks, but sometimes you just have a bunch of pump spells. So 6, 12, 14. I guess to play around Dismember, we'll just pump the bat here. It's lethal either way. Or actually, I guess the correct thing to do is to put the first strike from the double strike on the stack, or to let it resolve. So opponent takes the first 6, and then once that happens, now we know opponent doesn't have Dismember, then we target the bat. So that would actually be the correct play. Like if opponent just wants to Dismember now, which doesn't make any sense, and obviously I'm overthinking it, but just saying it's actually slightly better to just get the first strike damage on the stack to resolve first. But anyway, so didn't see anything that should change what we're doing. We'll resubmit, hope that it can be just explosive on the draw. Okay, game 3. This end's fine. Could use one over 8 swamps. And even with 1 swamp, it's not quite there, but it does have the turn 1 Fire Slinger. It's got a Death Mark, which could be pretty strong. An Axe could be useful. And, I mean, worth mentioning, we do have 2 of our fatties in our hands, so if we get to our 4th land, that could be pretty strong as well. So, Kami. Well, I mean, it's a little awkward for a curve, but I think we could just find a better target for the Death Mark. So let's just wait. And I do plan to use this black mana for the next like 3 or 4 turns, but like Kami could just get brought back by a Strider or something. I guess if Strider comes out, it gets to protect a creature anyway. But I like holding on to it in case there's something scarier. Opponent's thinking about it. They leave back the Kami. What? I mean, I guess they think we're gonna go in with Axe and they're stuck on 2 lands, but yeah, it's not a good play. Alright, another Fire Slinger. Let's go for Daggerclaw Imp. Ship the turn back. And since we drew Fire Slinger, we can now like Death Mark something and play Fire Slinger, or we can Death Mark something and equip Axe. But it means we're not really wasting a turn to have to use the Death Mark for 1 mana. And we're in a good spot, because any spell out of our deck is pretty good. I mean, if we draw a 4-drop, it's, you know, not super exciting. But pretty much any draw of our deck is going to be pretty strong. Okay, opponent decides it's now correct to attack with the Kami. So we get 18. And Swamp, fantastic. So let's attack with Imp. And have to decide between Minotaurs or Outcasts. Either is really nice. Outcast uses up the black, which could make a difference. We want a Death Mark, play Minotaurs if draw land. I mean, Draining for Life is nice. Being a little bit bigger might matter, but either way, we're getting past Cathodian. We could Deathmark Kami or something, but let's go for Outcast. We could also axe it up and gain a ton of life with the swing. Might even hold off on Minotaurs for turn, just go like equip axe to something, Deathmark something, play Fire Slinger. Okay, there's the Moonlit Strider. And we draw a Lacerator, so I think the best play is to just Deathmark, get rid of the Strider. It's gonna happen. It's gonna have to happen eventually. We'll put Axe on Imp so we can get the extra damage in. Like opponent's just gonna give Pro Black, so Outcast can't attack this turn. And then we'll play Fire Slinger since it's more likely to get damage in compared to Lacerator. So let's equip Axe here. Searchy control. Play Deathmark. There's no good way we can attack first. Like opponent can clump block in a variety of ways. Okay, Fire Slinger. And now we've got a really quick clock. Opponent's going to 8. Then they're basically going to 1. So they need to find a way to deal with the Imp. And then we still have 2 Fire Slingers left over. It's going to be pretty hard to deal with. The opponent doesn't really have a clock going. We've got the Outcast, which is going to drain for some life, at least trade for something and gain a bunch of life at some point. And we still have good stuff in hand. So it's looking really good for us. Opponent just passes. Nothing really changes here. Send with Imp. Okay, got plummeted, so we'll Fire Sling opponent. And at this point, I think Minotaurs is just better than Outcast. Like, our life total is pretty safe. So next turn, we could put Axe on Outcast, attack with it and Minotaurs, and then opponent's going to have to like double block one and maybe chump the other. And they're basically going to 4 from this ping, and then a double ping during our turn. So they're in a rough spot. It's not that much that can dig them out of this. Okay, so we'll put X on Outcast, attack with both. Could get Fortified, I guess. Is that something we want to play around? I mean, if opponent fortifies, they kill both of our guys, but we play 2 Lacerators, and opponent's basically at 2 at that point. I mean, we could just send 1 creature to make sure we don't get that opponent doesn't get max value out of the Fortify. It might be preferable. They could also just have Celestial Purge. Yeah, I think I'm actually just gonna send the Minotaurs. This looks a lot like Fortify, and even though we're probably gonna win if they have it either way, I think we're just playing a little bit better if we just send the Minotaurs. Like if we just send one at a time, opponent can't double trade. They can take a 2-for-1 either way. But by sending both, we offer them a potential 2-for-2 if they have Fortify. If they don't have Fortify, it's better to send both, but I mean, if they don't have Fortify, what are they doing? We still have the 2 Fire Slingers, putting a lot of pressure on, and we get to go Lacerator, Lacerator. So I think it's okay to play around a likely Fortify in the spot. If they double block, I'll put the Cathodian first. If they have Sigil Blessing, it's a little bit worse, but I think it's much more likely they have Fortify. I guess I could have like Sylphan Bounty. Maybe I changed my mind. I think I'm just gonna put Kami first. So if they have Fortify, they can go +0/+2 and save the Cathodian. We're still getting a 2-for-1, and we've got the 6/4 versus their Cathodian. And we have 2 Lacerators. I probably don't have Sigil Blessing. Let's just go for Cathodian first. Okay. So yeah, this fortifies, so it's like slightly better to kill Cathodian. I still think that play is pretty close. Like even though results-wise they had Fortify, I mean either way we're looking really good against Fortify. Can't get Mountain Savage Wizard here. So we go Lacerator, Lacerator, put opponent to 4 with the Fire Slingers. They're effectively at 2, and they have to draw like 2 blockers for the Lacerators, otherwise they die. And then the next turn they're going to die to the 2 Fire Slingers. Okay, that's match. And round 2 is going to be starting shortly. See you then. Alright, ready for round 2. So I've got a nice opener. On the draw, would certainly be better on the play. If opponent has a 2-drop, might mess up our Bloodthirst play. Okay, Narcolepsy. That's pretty good. Just get pinged for 1 a turn. And yeah, probably just have to run out the bat if we want to be able to Bloodthirst on turn 4. You could wait 1 turn to do it, I suppose. But it starts a 20 turn clock. Has to be some value in that. And another Narcolepsy. So hope we draw a creature here. It does the trick. I mean, it can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures, so it's probably getting through next turn. Opponent passes, so they could definitely have a counter up. Draw a bat. think we go with Outcast. And they did seem to be F6 there, so makes it a little less likely they actually have counter. Helium Squirter. Could have something like Aether Snipe next turn. So jam with both. We'll play Minotaur after. Not really sure what opponent's archetype is yet. And the Chancery may or may not mean that they're white. Most blue-white decks are Affinity, but I think there's room for a just like blue-white control deck in the format. Especially if you get some of the bomb fly rares. Could be a Guile. Novigen Sages. Not a fan of that card. So this should be a pretty strong turn for us. The opponent moves counter over to Sages. We get to crack in with everything and brute force. Then play Bat. Do you think we should tank for a second? If we just slam everything in, it makes it a little more likely that we've got a trick. Because attacking with the Outcast here has to be a little bit sketchy into opponent's 5/5. So I'm going to just tank for a little bit. Tank as in just slow the game down for a second. Make it appear like I'm thinking. I mean, this attack could definitely make sense if I'm trying to Bloodthirst again. But like an immediate all-in here, I think, is like it's going to suggest that I have a trick just about every time. Because normally you wouldn't want to throw away an Outcast just to Bloodthirst an extra creature. But if I think about it, maybe I have like 2 Bloodthirst creatures or something. Like there's some chance. So opponent does block there, so we brute force. And then play Bat. So, hands on the table, but it should be good enough. So they do have planes. Could be something like Battlegrace Angel, Hikari. Oh, it is Battlegrace Angel. And they move the counter over and play Throwing Bird. That's kind of scary. Might need to draw something. Okay, they move that counter over too. So, deck. I mean, Minotaur is coming in. Opponent might take it. Could send everything in. Opponent puts Angel on Outcast. Thrumming Bird has to go on Bat. Minotaur gets through. Oh, wow. So I think we win. The opponent might chump Throwing Bird on Minotaurs, but I think there's a good chance we win here. If they go Throwing Bird on Minotaurs and Angel on Outcasts, then we just like brute force. I mean, they're so far behind after that. We brute force on Outcasts. They put Throwing Bird chump on Minotaur and Angel block Outcast. Then yeah, we're way ahead. And if they put Throwing Bird on the Bat, then we can just brute force one of our other creatures and it's lethal. So that's game. So blue-white graft proliferate. Interesting. I mean, I would play white for Battlegrace Angel regardless, so
I'm on board. So Deathmark comes in, at least for the Angel. Who knows how many white creatures they're actually playing, but I think with the Angel you kind of have to put it in. Bone Splinters could be okay, because they've got some like 5 mana, 6 mana creatures. So I might want that. Grim Affliction, it's still fine, but they might not have too many targets for it. Opponent had a couple Narcolepsies, so Bone Splinters 100% coming in. Maybe Flare Husk can go, it's just a little bit weaker, even though it's good with the Splinters. And yeah, maybe just Grim Affliction. Could also maybe cut Brute Force. I mean, it was quite good there, but opponent, now knows that we have 2, so it's not going to be quite as surprising. And Affliction can have a pretty similar effect. It's a little more expensive, but putting extra counters on our guys and making one of their guys smaller, it could just be better than pumping one of our guys. So let's try it. Kind of mixes up our tricks a little bit. Makes it a little harder for opponents to play around them. Okay. Well, with Slaughtermaster, Grim Affliction is a little bit worse than Brute Force, but we'll see. Hopefully we can draw some more creatures so we can get through opponents' Narcolepsies and get the Outcasts out on turn 4. Opponent keeps. Actually, Goblin Fireslinger would be a really good draw. I think we have 3. Okay, so we'll play Fireslinger. There's a Thrumming Bird. I think we want to continue to curve out. So let's go for Slaughtermaster. If opponent plays counters a creature, they could get a counter with the Thrumming Bird. But I think we got to take the aggressive. We have to take the initiative here. I guess we'll just Fire Sling now. No reason not to. We also haven't yet seen any 3 mana or less proliferate creatures. So just Cloud Elemental. That's something we can probably just ignore. And then next turn, things are a little bit awkward if we enter a mountain, because we can only cast 1 spell. If we have a mountain, probably go Fireslinger or leave a bolt. I mean, I'm not going to bolt the Cloud Elemental, because our deck's just faster than opponents. So I'll save Bolt for something that could actually block or yeah, be a little more effective. I mean, I guess I just Fireslinger again. Just keep up the pressure. I mean, the issue is that Fireslinger is so easy to cast, where Affliction is kind of difficult. But I think we just want to keep putting damage on the board. And it's still unlikely for opponent to get something that they're going to proliferate onto next turn, if they didn't have it on turn 3. So we're probably not going to get punished for leaving the Thrumming Bird in play for another turn. Another Thrumming Bird and Chancery. So still very far ahead on the clock. But this is the turn where we got to be a little careful. If opponent plays a Helium Squirter and makes it huge, could be trouble. So if we draw a land, yeah, we'll play one of our Bloodthirst guys. But you're a little tempted to hold back. Well, another Lightning Bolt. I mean, that's a lot of damage to face. So let's jam with Slaughtermaster. Still annoying, we only have one Swamp. But that puts opponent to 14, to 12. This puts them to 10. Really close to killing them. I mean, if they go for Helium Squirter next turn, we'll just Lightning Bolt it. Yep. So opponent sends everything. Lightning Bolt the Squirter. Put opponent to 12. Oh, Mutagenic Growth, jeez. Okay. It's pretty strong. At least they pay 2 life, but that's pretty rough. Squirter is definitely going to cause some problems. We can still attack with Slaughtermaster. I mean, I think we're still winning. So we can like trade Bolt and Slaughtermaster for the Squirter. I mean, I don't love that, but it's better than leaving them with Squirter in play, I think. Darkseal Axe. Could just Axe the Slaughtermaster. I mean, that's just better. Opponent pretty much just has to block. And it's going to make the game close. I'd be pretty shocked if opponent did anything other than block here. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty close. This is like a Sages or Aether Snipe, could be pretty rough. Yep, Aether Snipe is definitely rough. It's still doable if we get land next turn, can run out Outcasts. Or not. 7, 5, 2. Not quite doing it. I mean, Lacerator, Fire Slinger, Poke to 7. I guess if they have nothing, we could maybe beat them if we hold on to Lacerator. Like if we chump with Fire Slinger. because then we could put Axe on Lacerator and then Lightning Bolt face. So we go Lacerator equip, then we take a bunch of damage, and then we basically just die. So yeah, I'm going to go Lacerator, Fire Slinger, pass. And it's still very close. An opponent, I mean, if they have nothing else back, like, it'd be a pretty big mistake for opponent to lose to us with Lightning Bolts just next turn on board. Like, if they have nothing, they just send everything at us. I think that's a bit unlikely. And since we're below 10, we're not losing life from Lacerators, so we take 4 here. And we can still do something good, either with Affliction, Bolt. We can survive a little longer against the Flyers. And if we get the land, I guess we can't go Outcasts next turn, so we probably have to Affliction to stay alive. We could afflict the Cloud Elemental so we prevent the most damage possible to us. We're 1 short currently of winning with Darksteel Axe on Fire Slinger, attack with everything, and then Bolt opponent's face. So, I mean, if we can just survive 1 more turn. So we draw a land. We have to Affliction. So I think the play is just pass. It sucks if opponent draws a counter, but I guess it's Mana Leak that would suck. I mean, we could Affliction now, but opponent, let's see, we put him to 5, we put him to 3, and then we bolt them. I guess they're sort of dead regardless. So we should probably, like, upkeep Affliction. Or, let's see, if they have a counter, they counter, we put them to 5, we put this here, that's not enough. Yeah, let's Affliction now. Or, I mean, I'm going to Affliction upkeep. Okay, another Cloud Elemental, should be game. So first thing, we'll just cast a Lightning Bolt on our turn. Play around Mana Leak. Because if they have like Stoke Rebuttal, we don't want to like Fire Sling twice first. We can beat a Remand. Alright, that'll do it. And looks like we've got Tsuyoshi Fujita in the draft as well. It's 1-1, so it'd be cool if we face them in the finals. So yeah. See you for round 3. Well, we're in the finals, and we're facing Tsuyoshi Fujita, Hall of Famer, or it appears very likely to be them. So we'll play first. Hopefully we'll have a good match. It's always nice to play against really strong players. Being on the play, I think just turn 1 Lacerator is the way to go. We might have to wait a turn. There's just so few 1-drops that can block Lacerator. So I think it's pretty safe just to play that rather than Fire Slinger. We want to get in max damage if possible. And worst case scenario, we just have to go for like Fire Slinger, Flare Husk, and then play Bat the turn after, which we don't really lose damage that way, so it's not a problem. So let's play Bat. And we can basically dump our hand on turn 3. Not going to play Brute Force, but can at least keep it up. Opponent might have a Savage Twister. Hopefully not. If they do, we'll go Brute Force on Bat and then move Flare Husk over to it. Hope the 3/3 flyer is good enough. We have World Heart Phoenix. So instead, we can go for Grim Affliction. We put a counter on the Bat. So we should just about do it. And yep. So exciting Magic to be played here. So opponent looks to be 5 colors. And yeah, I think Bone Splinters is probably worth putting it in. Because they're going to have some large creatures like Eldrazi or something. Or like a Skyreach Manta. So I think that's something we want. And maybe Brute Force can go. Or Flare Husk. Nah, Husk is good with Splinters. Alright, we'll run this. Okay. Great opener here. So it's a little closer about what we want to do for our first turn, Fire Slinger or Lacerator. We'll see what we draw. Well, we draw Fire Slinger. So if we go Lacerator and opponent puts a blocker in play, we can go Slaughtermaster. They put a blocker in play. We play like a Fire Slinger. It'll take a while, so I think the play is to just go Fire Slinger. And then we'll see what opponent does. We can go Lacerator, Fire Slinger. I mean, we might get shriveled, so perhaps I just go for Bat. But I mean, even with the shrivel, we still get to go Bat the next turn. So I think it's just going to be Lacerator, Slinger. Alloy Mirror. Cool, got a land. So let's attack with Lacerator. And go for Bat. Opponent could have Savage Twister. They could have like a Skyreach Manta. Pull this back a little bit. Okay, Kozilek's Predator. But we're still getting in minimum 4. Okay, Bone Splinters kill the flyer. It's getting in 2 a turn. If we get a land, we can play some Boom Booms. So player 5/5. So looking pretty good. Opponent has access to 6 mana currently. Yeah, I think we want to put the pressure on, and yeah, we just drew the swamp, so we get to go Outcast anyway. Let's send in Minotaurs. I mean, forcing a chump from Eldrazi spawn would be pretty huge if opponent's trying to cast an Eldrazi here. And chump from Predator, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we'll go for Outcast. Hope it's not like an All Is Dust or something. Just Crusher, hopefully. Okay. Alright, 6, 7, 8. So we can like ping for 2, let opponent hit us with Crusher. But we could also just sack our Minotaurs to deal an extra 6 and drain 4, or sack our Outcast to deal 7. And I think that's just going to be better. And then opponent has to attack with Crusher. We play Slaughtermaster. We're probably going to have them at this point. Oh, did I mess up? Beginning of lose unless the opponent has 10 or less life. Okay. So what I could have done is gone for Upkeep Fire Sling, put opponent to 10, and so I wouldn't lose the life off Lacerator. I mean, that could definitely be relevant. Though we're getting 4 life off Outcast, so hopefully it won't be. Alright, Slaughtermaster, and I mean, hopefully it's game. Let's take the Crusher hit. Opponent needs 2 more blockers. Okay, that's a blocker. They have removal for Fire Slinger. No, it's Rampant Growth. I mean, it's still looking to be in our favor. They have 1 card in hand. I mean, they will have a ton of mana next turn. If it's just something like an Artisan of Kozilek, we can beat that. And they don't have Savage Twister. So we'll ping opponent to 3. Lightning Bolt wouldn't be the worst draw. So if we attack with Outcast, they just chump and sack. Attacking with Slaughtermaster, that's pretty good. Attacking with Lacerator, might be okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I probably just want to chump this turn. So, and I could just chump with Outcast, gain some more life. So I'll just send the Slaughtermaster. Let's just play around like a Burst Lightning. Sack 2 permanents. Let's block with Outcasts. Oof, Tarashi's Grasp. It's kind of scary. I at least have a mountain, so we're still looking really good. Yeah, looking really good. We can attack with both. Opponent has to chump and trade. We'll trade Lacerator with Drone and spawn on Slaughtermaster. We'll use a Fire Slinger to ping for 1, play Bat, and should be good. Alright, that's it. So, that's Black-Red Bloodthirst for you. I think it's just the best archetype in Modern Masters. And part of that is because it's so underdrafted. I just see the Fire Slingers and the Minotaurs tabling, like the Bats. These are all just really, really strong cards in this archetype. And they're not very good in other archetypes, especially the aggressive black cards. But I feel like even the aggressive red cards are a bit underrated in other red decks, like red-green, red-blue, red-white. So the deck just seems to be open. It's extremely consistent. It's about the fastest, most consistent thing you can be doing. Just really easy to start with 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4. If you miss one, if you miss one drop on the curve, you're still way ahead. And the deck's pretty much just built from commons. Like, if you just get all the key commons, a bunch of them, I think the deck can win. Where other archetypes are more based on uncommons and rares, like elementals. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Go try drafting Red Black Bloodthirst yourself, and it's a pretty easy way to win some 8-4s. So thanks for watching. See you next time.